Hello, I am Centimus Prime, and here I will be reviewing the second part to the LEGO Creator 3-in-1 set number 31145 Red Dragon. Even though the build is currently not of a red dragon, but we can go ahead and start with the build anyway. So here is one of the secondary builds. It's usually kind of challenging to tell like which is like the secondary mode and which is like the third, like the like third build. It's not usually easy to tell. It's really just the main like build advertised on very prominently on the box, and then you have your two secondary builds off to the side. Like, it's hard to say if there's like a secondary build and a third build, or if it's just two secondary builds. But oh well. For my like simplicity's sake, I'm just going to go off of the order I review these in. So I'm going to consider this the secondary build, and the fish that I'm going to review later as the third build. So taking a look at the second build, you can probably guess that this looks like some sort of nice like bright and colorful parrot of some kind, which wouldn't be an outlandish like assumption, except for the fact that from what I've heard about this set, apparently this build is advertised as a phoenix, despite it looking way more like a parrot. I don't know. To me, it looks like a parrot. To me, it bears more resemblance to a parrot. Mostly due to how the colors are laid out and the overall shape doesn't like exactly read to me as phoenix very much. But oh well. Like, regardless, it still doesn't look too bad, to be honest. Like, we can go ahead, like, detail-wise, we can go ahead and start off with the wings, which I do enjoy, what they did here with the wings. Not only does it have the nice, like, color layering thing going on, but they also managed to make the wings for this secondary build made up of most of the same parts as the wings on the primary build. Only they switched things around and they added other pieces here, and they added smaller pieces here and there to make it look unique enough from the main build, but still look like a nice pair of wings. I do enjoy that. The wings are nice. The wings are nice, I think. And then we can move on to the tail, which honestly compared to the tail of the main build, I honestly prefer this one way more in comparison to that one, not only because it is made up of a nice and semi-sturdy mixel ball joint rather than the thin structure that is that bar clip connection thing, which was incredibly loose. Well, it's not the fact that it was loose, it's more so the fact that there is like this tiny little connection here, the bar connection here, holding up this massive tail. Here, it's a smaller tail and it has a sturdier connection, so it's a lot more hefty. Not only that, the gaps here the gaps here between these arch pieces makes more sense here than it does on the dragon, because these are meant to be, for this build, it's meant it to be like these these like majestic like tail feathers, and it looks good. It looks nice. I do like it. And then there's the body. The body, I feel like, the body looks nice. Like, we can move the wing off to the front here for now. Like, look at that. Like, there's not really a whole lot of, like, interesting building techniques going on here. It's mostly them either stacking bricks on top of each other, or they do manage to use these knot and bracket pieces in some interesting ways, oddly enough. Interestingly enough, they do use a combination of various snot and bracket pieces to give the body of this bird this really nice, majestic silhouette to it, which looks pretty good in my opinion. Yeah, very nice. So down here we have like the sort of talon, these sort of tooth pieces that are representing talons. Not looking too bad. We got this nice like arching like underbelly. We got like the featheriness of the back end. The head and the silhouette of the head looks good. Overall, like, it looks like build wise, it looks really nice. Yeah, it looks very nice. And it also leaves very few exposed studs in non-egregious ways. Aside from like this, which definitely could benefit from, which definitely could benefit from another one of the 1x1 like yellow like square plates. But I believe like the set would come with a spare one of those, because the two that are being used for the set are being used for the beaks. And I believe there's a third one that comes as a spare piece that you can put down here, so you can fix that if you want. And like the rest of the studs here are not really that big of a deal. Yeah, like, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty nice. And we can, of course, talk about the articulation. But this part's going to be quick, because there's really not a whole lot of articulation, because out of the 3 builds, this is definitely the least articulated, with only like 5 points of articulation, technically, because we have the ball joint and the tail, which I will admit is a lot better, in my opinion, than the tail on the dragon. So you can rotate and pose it around in interesting poses, which is neat. Plus, you can also like slightly rotate each of these technically, but that doesn't really count as articulation. It's just extra little things you could do with this mainly. Nice ball joint at the tail. Ball joint at each wing, so you can do your typical flapping of the wings. You can swing them forward, back. Though I will admit that this fender piece does get in the way of various poses, of various like folding up poses, but like for the most part, it's really not that big of a deal. And despite the fact that that the eyes are just flat, are just straight up are just like straight up connected to the snot bricks by one stud, so you can rotate the eyes around, so you can pose the eyes around technically. So that is technically 5 points of articulation, but you're really looking at 3. Easily the least articulated. But you still got like some interesting things you can do with that. Like it looks like it to me. It looks pretty nice. I'd even go as far as to say this is the nicest looking one, the nicest looking out of the 3 builds in my opinion. Looks really nice. Unfortunately, not articulated, but there is a actual benefit to that, which I will get into in a minute. But with that, it's really all show, no posability. It's really all it's really like a nice little like Lego like build of like a. It's really like a nice little like. It's less of a for like a bird like toy like articulate bird, and more of like a nice little like parrot like, or I guess phoenix like bird display that you can either put on a shelf or like on a desk, and you can like play around with the articulation as like a little desktop toy. And you can still have it like just sitting there look pretty. Like it just doesn't look that bad. And a little side tangent, while like it was very nice to have the eyes on the dragon in a nice interesting angle, like for this one I didn't really know like what they could have done here, because if they did the same thing with the if they honestly did the same thing with the eyes here, it honestly would have looked way weirder in terms of how a bird would look. So yeah, they ultimately like made the right choice in just having these flats against it. I'm just attached flat onto the head. So there is that. Okay. So yeah, like the build itself, not really a whole lot going on. Looks nice, but not very articulated. Now, here's where the benefit of this guy not having a whole lot of articulation comes in. Because this is a side build to the main build that is the dragon, these has one of the, these like are like side builds that something typical for 3-in-1 creator sets, and especially for the side builds. And especially for like very like larger sets, like it's the fact that because there's a reason why that like there is a main build here aside from it just being the box art. Like this is the main build because it uses all of the pieces for the set, all 149 of them. This as well as the other side builds, and it's like this for pretty much every single creator 3-in-1 sets, don't use all of the pieces that is used to build a dragon. Which means you have leftover pieces here. And because this is a rather small build with low articulation, there's a lot of pieces left over from this build, especially a lot of joints and stuff. So, like, you got lots of joints left over from the build. You even got, like, a various, red pieces, a few little yellow pieces. You got some leftover joint pieces, some leftover Technic stuff. You got a good bit of, like, leftover pieces in here that if you're not planning on taking this build apart, and if you basically just got this set to display, one of the side builds, like in this case, this bird build, and if you really want to just leave this build the way it is while adding more parts to your collection, this is a nice way to do that. This way, you're not down a whole set, so you still got your favorite build. Like, and this is, like, good especially for those who particularly like one of the side builds but doesn't want to, like, for either those who want to have one side build but and also have the benefit of adding more pieces to their collection, or just getting more than one of the sets and, like, displaying all three of them at once. You can still get more parts you can still get the parts that way too. I'd say that's pretty good. It's a weird and brilliant little strategy they have going here with these Creator 3-in-1 sets. It's why they're so popular in the Lego world, in the world of Lego, because there's, like, a lot of stuff you can do with them. It actually encourages you to take the sets up that you build apart and build them again, and even taking the parts in the set and either building alternate builds or use the parts in your own collection to build your own wacky, like, interesting builds. So yeah, like, very, very nice. Overall, it's a nice. The bird build itself looks nice. Does have some interesting, like, snot building techniques. It uses scratch that. It uses more standard, like, snot building techniques, but it still uses them to full effect here. But yeah. It looks very nice. Not that articulated, but still would recommend as, like, a nice little, like, desktop, like, either a desktop or, like, a nice little, like, display if you like these kind of things that just sits there and looks nice. Just want to sit there and look nice. So yeah, like, very cool, very nice, very neat. Overall, do like it. Despite the severe lack of articulation, but I don't think but with the amount of parts you're adding to your collection if you leave it in this mode, I don't think it's really much of a loss. And with that, I think that'll be it for this review. I will, of course, be reviewing the other secondary build later on. But until then, that'll be it for this video. If you enjoyed this review, consider to like and subscribe, and maybe even comment if you want. And of course, I will be posting again sooner or later.